We're with Piers today from Foróige, who's going to tell us all about the activities and what's going on at Ferrybank.
Okay, so hi, my name is Piers Dunn and I work in the Ferrybank Drug Prevention Project as part of the Foróige Ferrybank Youth Services here. Foróige as a national organisation is a youth organisation that's been supporting young people since the 50s and work with over 60,000 young people all over the country each year. And that's through 160 different youth projects and 600 volunteer-led clubs in many different forms. Basically here in Ferrybank what we have is 2 youth projects who work together to form the youth services. And what that looks like is we have 4 staff members, a couple full-time, a couple part-time, who work 5 days a week, some weekend work as well, some mornings but mostly evenings after school work with young people to give them activities, programs and groups for something to do really outside of school and in school holidays and things, so that they have somewhere to go where they're safe, they're welcome and that they can learn and develop as a person. Foróige's overall ethos is to involve young people consciously and actively in their own development and development of society, and all our work kind of trickles down from there really. We have lots and lots of different programs, there's lots and lots of different ways we achieve that. So there are general groups that help them kind of deal with the day-to-day challenges of life. Say for example, we have homework and breakfast clubs, as I mentioned. So the breakfast clubs meet with some of the younger kind of primary school first year just before school starts, where they come here and they get a little bit of breakfast and some time to work on their homework and do a little bit of study before they go in. There is the homework clubs, and then which is the same after school, a little bit of food, a little bit of a chance to catch up and de-stress and then work on their study and homework. And there's ones of those for mostly first and second years, but there's some for third, fourth and fifth year and older. So they're kind of smaller groups where they try and get a little bit of extra support. If we have 2 or 3 staff on, that we have maybe up to 5, 6, 7 young people max, where they have a bit of time where they're supported that way. We have socially led groups like our Friday drop-in youth cafe, which are quite popular at the moment. That we have basically this space here and the other room we just open it up after school on a Friday, and they can come in and hang out for a couple of hours. There's 3 different time for first years and second years and older again, and basically it is somewhere where instead of hanging around out the street, they can come in here and make friends and socialise. But they're supervised, there's staff here, there's volunteers here, and we interact with them and just give them somewhere where they can relax and hang out. It's a great way for us to meet the young people who kind of don't know much about Foróige and aren't sure if it's something they want to get involved with. If they come on a Friday, we sit and we chat to them, but we kind of leave them to their own devices to talk and kind of just have fun. So we have a pool table, we have some games, consoles, Xbox, Nintendo Switch and that they like to do. We have free Wi-Fi, a lot of them just like to sit on the couches here and chat. We have a lot of board games that are popular. Chess has become really popular in the last while, so there's a lot of people coming in here playing chess. We have our small library and a shop as well, a small talk shop where we have hot chocolates and stuff that they enjoy and buy some sweets and things like that, and a basketball hoop outside. So that's kind of a good way we meet the young people on a Friday. But during the week we have our more targeted programs. So on a Friday we could have, some of our groups go up to 20 plus, whereas during the week we run smaller groups with maybe 4, 5, 6 young people in each of them, and they all have different targets. So some of them will be social, helping them make friends, helping them meet new people, but a lot of them will have kind of a developmental goal. So we have lots of different Foróige programs that help them kind of identify a skill or a life skill or something that they'd like to learn more about and to develop. So we have things like our Be Healthy, Be Happy program. We have 2 groups of second year boys at the moment working on that. So basically that learns about how to look after their health in physical, mental, social and spiritual. So it breaks it down into all the different ways, and they do that through active learning. So it's kind of a little bit different from school, that it's not sitting and writing, it's more about standing up, talking and playing games and getting them thinking about those things. And we have lots of different programs like that. We have our Nifty program, which is basically like mini company. They learn about making money and looking after their money and coming up with business ideas. We have our Real You, which stands for Relationships Explored and Life Uncovered, which is a sexual health and relationships program, which is really good for them to discuss, and learn about boundaries and learn about looking after their own personal and their sexual health and things like that. And there are several more different programs we do. So we have different programs that prepare them, I suppose, for transitions in life. So Karen, who works in the youth development project here, she runs transition programs for 6th class into secondary and gets them ready for what the difference there is, what they need to be ready for, how they need to prepare for it. We have transition programs where we help young people get ready for leaving secondary and going out into the working world. So things like our Ready Steady Life program and Skills to Pay the Bills, which are 2 programs which gets them ready for, you know, living on their own, going to college, applying for jobs. Foróige have a service at the moment called the Accenture CV Review, where young people can send their CV to kind of experts who look at the CVs and analyse them and give them advice, and we can support that, and all that's free of charge. And so I suppose any of our groups during the week, we meet the young people first, and got to know the young people, we might have already identified something that they would benefit learning from, or else we talk to them and tell them about the options and see which one catches their attention. We have some creative ones as well, so things like podcasting and art projects, and we have some of those hanging up here. And even in the past, we've had a couple of really successful filmmaking groups, where there was a film competition called the Exhale Film competition, where you would make a short film with an anti-smoking message. So we had 2 different groups make 2 different short films for that, and both won awards, and another one that just made a mental health film called What Makes You Happy, and we interviewed some of the people from the community and asked them each a line about what makes them happiest, and then edited it all together as a film. Just little projects like that, and very often it can be based on what comes up when we meet them. So for some young people, we'll literally just be doing games and activities about maybe anger management or impulse control. Like, you know, if they are getting into trouble or they're having issues and challenges, we try and come up with activities and we discuss how they can deal with that. Outside of those groups, we have our Monday football group, so that's become quite popular in the last couple of years. The Ferrybank AFC have been great to let us use their AstroTurf pitch down there, and basically on a Monday for an hour we just have a game of football for anyone who wants to come along from 1st up to 6th year. And it's really laid back and informal. We just put them into 2 teams and have a game, and a lot of the guys like that. It's free, there's no charge to come along, and most of the people, they're not playing with the club at the time, so you know they don't get to get out and be part of a team that way. So this gives them a chance to do that and just kind of take on sport, learn a new sport, and do it in a fun, kind of enjoyable environment. As well as that, we don't just work around the school timetable, we work through the school holidays as well. So over Easter breaks and things like that, we would run different individual things during the day and make sure that there are activities for the young people to do. Like we do quizzes during the day, or sometimes we run trips on the bus, we'll go somewhere else for them to get out into nature and things like that. And especially during the summer, we have our summer program, which is quite popular. So throughout July especially, for each age group we work with, we'll have primary, 1st year, 2nd year, up to kind of 4th, 5th and 6th year. We will give them a week of activities where day 1 they'll meet us here, get to know us, and play a few games around the parish centre and do some activities here. And day 2 we'll go to Tramore, the Splash World, to the beach and do some stuff down there. And day 3 then we usually go on a trip somewhere like an adventure centre, so you know, to kayaking, to do archery, to do those kind of activities, get them out into nature and get them out trying new experiences. So that's a nice resource in the summer for both the young people who've been there all year, to kind of as a reward for their participation. And a lot of the times when we have a few extra places, it's a nice way where we meet new young people. You know, we put the word out there that it's on, and they come and join the summer program and they say that was great, and they stay involved with us. And that's kind of the bulk summary of the work we do. We mostly start working with young people at 5th class age. Karen runs our Be Healthy, Be Happy program for a boys group and a girls group in 5th class, and that's kind of a lot of the time when they first get involved with us. And as they get older, they can do homework clubs, they can do our drop-in, they can do our summer programs and all those. So if you have a young person and you're looking for them to get involved in something, but you're not sure what they'd like to do, come and talk to us. We have lots of different things on, and we generally will have some group during the week that they'll be able to slot into. Sometimes there might be a huge amount of people at their age group involved at the time, but in a couple of weeks we could be doing a group that will be perfect for them and we think they can slot into. So generally there will be something for most young people in the ages mostly of 10 to 18 that we're here and you can get involved with.
That's great, thanks a million, Chris.
Recently, Karen and Pippa, who work here in the Youth Development Project, did a programme about 5 or 6 young women for an art project for the local CAMS building, where they did a lovely big mural of about 6 or 7 art canvases stuck together, and they drew a picture of a turtle, which was about kind of having a hard shell and resilience and carrying your issues and being strong enough to carry them. And they did a beautiful picture, and that's hanging in the new CAMS building. They had an opening for that a couple of weeks ago. So that was something that they would have come here once or twice a week for a couple of weeks and worked on that project, and the whole picture, the whole idea came from the young people. Like, you know, the initial inception of the idea was, let's do an art project, and they come up with the themes and that, like, you know. And we have a lot of different projects like that just around here. We have our creative corner, which young people made and put together just for them to display their artwork. A lot of young people like drawing at home, and you know, it's a big hobby in there. So we say, if you are drawing, you have a sketchbook, you can bring one out and you can display it here for other people to see. Down the back of the building, we have an art mural project just to brighten up. It's facing the graveyard, and during COVID we couldn't meet for a long time, young people indoors, so we were trying to think of activities to do outdoors. So we got a big group of young people over a couple of weeks to paint the back wall with a nice kind of colourful rainbow flag and a nice positivity message, just so, you know, from the back of the building it brightened it up a bit, and, you know, people from the graveyard can see it, and it might, you know, cheer things up a little bit for them as well. And we have another art project at the top where we have a program here called our Youth Committee, our YPS Youth Participation Structure, but we just kind of call it our Youth Committee, where we have a group of young people who we ask their advice on things. So if we're coming up with a new idea, or if we have a little bit of money to spend and we want to buy something for the centre, we chat to them and say, what do you think, you know, what's relevant for young people? And they give us ideas. At the moment they're working on a survey, and they're distributing a survey about getting more young women involved. We have a good few number of young women, but it's almost kind of a 2-to-1. We'd have twice as many boys as we would have girls, so it's about trying to increase their participation. So survey going out there to young women to what might encourage them to become part of Foróige, and just getting an idea of what they do like to do in their spare time, and, you know, what else we could offer them. But a couple of years ago they came up with the idea of allowing young people to leave their mark here, and a way that people can identify who's been here. So we have our Foróige family tree, where we had an art competition. Some young people drew a tree. They picked out one winner, and they drew a canvas with a big tree on it, and each young person who comes can leave a thumbprint and write their initials on it. So, you know, in years to come, hopefully it'll be full of, you know, kind of the hundreds of young people who've come through, like with all their marks there, and just things like that, you know. We're always kind of working on projects like that, just to spread the message of what we're doing here, and to make the young people feel part of it, because so much of it is theirs. They have a lot of ownership here, and even in here we changed how it's laid out a lot based on young people's suggestions. Like that youth committee said years ago, we used to have it full with loads and loads of posters of information, and they were saying there's a little bit too much going on, it's a little bit too full of stuff. It'd be nicer if you just took some of that down and put up some one or two brighter things. So that's why we have a couple of our kind of flags with a bit of colour, our LGBTIQ+ flag that's there, and our little bits of information around, but not too much, just to make this place look a bit brighter and a bit more welcoming. So we're always kind of open to new ideas and for young people to put their spin on things. So another kind of good story we've had recently is we brought a couple of chessboards into our drop-in youth cafe, and just laid them out to see, you know, did anyone want to play, and a lot more young people than I'd realised actually knew how to play chess. So they were sitting going, oh, we'll have a game together, and a couple of young people would see that and they'd say, you know, I'd like to learn, you know, I never knew how to play chess, and what's that move there do? And then inadvertently they were sitting down learning, and I was able to sit and show them to play chess, and mostly the other young people were teaching each other how to play. And then so I said, look, I'll run a competition and see who would like to be involved. And it was actually, again, it was the young people suggested that could we have a competition. So I was hoping to get enough to run a little bit of a small tournament, and we had 17 sign up for it, which was great, and we ran that over a couple of weeks. And we finished that then, and then we met another Foróige project who were the few chess players out in Portlaw, the Midway Foróige project, and we brought them in here for a day's chess competition where we had 13 young people from both, and had a kind of a couple hours of a chess competition there. So it's something that I know, as a result of that, they kind of got a chess group going in this local school, and probably from next September we'll be having our own weekly chess group where people can come in, as always, have a snack, have a chat for a while, and then sit down and just kind of have a game of chess with each other. So it's nice to see that taken off, because it's an enjoyable game, but it's everything we're trying to teach about sort of taking their time and decision making skills and thinking slowly, and, you know, kind of impulse control with all young people is a big challenge we have at the moment, about thinking through their decisions and making sure they don't make mistakes and don't get themselves into trouble. So chess is a nice microcosm where they can learn the little skills about a calm game where it's all about slow thinking and taking your time over your decisions. So yeah, thankfully that's been quite successful, and hopefully develop that over the coming months. So as I mentioned, we have 4 staff here, but we are heavily supported by a team of volunteers who've been fantastic for us the last couple of years. Some volunteers are here every week, very regularly, and some just put forward their time to do it when they can. There's no pressure from us, and we have a kind of a simple and straightforward recruitment process. Volunteers come along, you have to be Garda vetted, and then we have 2 trainings to help volunteers know what they'll need to know and how to begin as a volunteer, and our basic child protection awareness training that all people in positions like this work with young people need to go through. And after that, then we rely heavily, and we get a lot from our volunteers to run our groups each week. So our Friday drop-in youth cafe, other groups during the week, our football group on a Monday. They're really important for us to keep it going. We need to have at least 2 adult leaders, whether that's staff or volunteers, present in each group. So having more volunteers involved really help us to do that. And as I said, we never put any pressure on. If people just have an hour or 2 to give every month or every couple of weeks or every week, we'd be delighted to have that.
Anybody's trying to get in touch, what are the contact details, like an email address or phone number?
Yeah, I suppose I think our social media sites would have all our information there. So obviously there's if you want to contact me on my work phone or my email, my number is 086 780 5202. My email address is pierce.dunne Foróige, which is FOROIGE.ie. And the same for my colleagues Karen Rice and Pippa Jones and Amy Conlan. They are also on our social media sites if you want to check out their emails and their phone numbers. Like I said, we are full-time staff. We're not always there on the weekends, but if someone gets in touch, we will get back to you eventually, and you can leave us a voicemail or give us a text.